What's the point of having a recruiting agency? And for me, having my own business is I'm looking for good balance. I don't want to work on 15 roles just to place two because my clients suck. I also don't want to go through a process of talking to candidates and begging them to take phone calls because my clients suck. So I was in this Facebook group the other day, one of the classic recruiting startup, headhunter extraordinaire Facebook groups. And there was a guy who was just getting started and he was asking about a 90-day guarantee period. And most people were just saying absolutely not, don't go longer than 30 or 45 days. And this is hard because everybody's in different industries. But I basically said, I don't have any problem going 90 days if I really like the client. I've done it maybe 3 times over the past 2 years. And of course, some doucher came at me saying, good luck staying in business, bro. He said a bunch of other things. Don't be that person, by the way. This industry is already kind of like tainted. Employers already don't want to talk to us in the sales process. Don't be that douchebag. But I killed him with kindness, That's what you got to do in those scenarios. Don't get sucked into those Facebook arguments. But what's the point of having a recruiting agency? And for me, having my own business is I'm looking for good balance. I don't want to work on 15 roles just to place 2 because my clients suck. I also don't want to go through a process of talking to candidates and begging them to take phone calls because my clients suck. I also don't want to go through the headache of going to a collections agency because my clients suck and they're not paying me. I've never had any of those scenarios happen to me because I'm going after high quality clients that I want to work with, and clients that are going to make me build an agency that I actually want to live in, where I can have work-life balance. I don't look like I'm dying and throwing on weight and just not sleeping. You don't want to work 90, 100 hours a week. The whole point of having your own business is to have more freedom. So it all starts off with client acquisition. So what am I going after with clients? Here are the 4 things that I look for: is exclusivity, how attractive the employer is to candidates, what I'm getting paid, of course, that's a big one, and then future opportunities. What does my future look like with them? So exclusivity, number 1, is important to me. So it's okay if you have competition with an employer, if they're working with other agencies, but once you start getting into the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 other recruiters or agencies that they're working with for a number of different roles, that's a red flag to me, and it's almost not even worth working on some of those roles. Main point being is because it doesn't matter how good your work is, how great your candidates are. I've been in these scenarios before where you're submitting a pipeline and they're taking way too long to get to your candidates and the candidates are just floating off. I've seen that before. It still happens from time to time. I get employers get busy from time to time. But if they're working with all of those recruiters, it really doesn't matter how good your work is because, they're just going to be overwhelmed by the amount of volume. At some point, you can win them over if your work is that much better. If you're going out and finding the passive candidates, you can win them over and create that relationship. But you usually want to make sure that they're not working with a ton of different people. And I also have clients in my system now where I have contracts signed saying you are not allowed to work with anybody else besides me. Yes, I'll take a small pay cut. I have one that's paying me $500 a month, I think it's a 10% fee, which is low. But the thing is it's a guaranteed placement for me unless they get somebody inbound on their website, and they're going to unload more roles. So, there's nothing wrong with $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 placements. I'll take that all day long, especially if I don't have to work with this sea of different open recs, and I know I'm only going to place one here. Just work on one and put all your effort into it, and you're going to work less hours. That to me is very, very attractive. I don't know what other people think. Speaking of attractiveness, number 2 is how attractive is the employer to the candidate. I had a conversation the other day with another recruiter. They're like, what's your hit rate on getting people through, getting candidates to take that first phone call or first interview? And for me, I don't really track those numbers because mine is extremely high. And this is not me tooting my own horn here. I don't do anything crazy on that first phone interview, mainly because I'm working with artificial intelligence companies, software companies. I'm working with startups that have their Series B, Series C funding. They just raised $75 million. They have new facilities. They're really, really exciting companies. So when you're on the phone with the candidate, that's all you really have to say. You don't have to lie. You don't have to sell the scenario. the company basically does that for you, and these candidates are going to be very happy to at least have that conversation. So that's what I look for as well. Is it higher competition? It absolutely is. But again, one client can really change the outlook of your business. I mean, one of my first clients, I think over the course of the year, we billed them around, I always forget the numbers, like 120, 140 over the course of that year, made like 9 placements. So I don't know, something to really think on. Next is the placement fee. How much money are you making? It's always important to take that into consideration. And that also plays with the exclusivity piece. Is, again, if you're competing against a lot of other recruiters, or if that employer is not that serious or not that urgent about making the hire, maybe they're moving a little bit slower and you're going to have a lot of candidates fall through the cracks, you better make sure you're going to cash in on the one candidate that you are getting placed. So again, in those scenarios, I'll charge 20%. I'll say maybe I'll give it a try if I feel like doing that one, or I feel like working on that one, or if it's a duplicate role, right? If I'm working a Python engineer, which I am right now, if that company comes to me and they're like, we're working with other agencies, but we need a Python engineer, I'm already doing the work anyways, so I'll take them on and just do a 20 or 25% fee. And then also future opportunities. What does the future look like with this one employer? Are they going to be hiring in the future? Are there other roles that I can get into? Yes, I position myself as a software engineer recruiter or sales recruiter, but are there other roles that they'll let me into? And that's something that I will try to get insight on that first phone call. And speaking of that first phone call, I really don't like other, people on YouTube and a lot of these other mentors. They always talk about the client acquisition process. They always make it seem like it's very easy and you don't really need to do much from like a branding perspective, right? What they're doing, and a lot of recruiters are saying that they're getting on this phone call and only spending like 5 or 10 minutes on the phone with that one employer. And I made that mistake early on in my career as well. But if you're only going to talk to me for 5 minutes, give me some insights on the job description and basically just say, give it your best shot. And we don't have a weekly check-in call. If I don't have your cell phone number to text you, I got the CEO's cell phone number of one of the employers that I'm working with. Like, we're on a texting basis. If I don't have that relationship, if I feel like you're not going to respect my work and pay attention to my candidates, it's better to have no client than have that client, because you're most likely just going to be working and competing against a sea of other recruiters, and it's going to be time wasted. That time should be spent on trying to acquire a better client, in my opinion. And that's something that I've gotten better at. Everybody makes that mistake, but definitely pay attention to that, especially early on while you're building your agency. Just getting a client is not exactly a win. It could be a nightmare. So make sure that you're putting the right building blocks in place for your sales and marketing, and you're branding yourself, and you're having that conversation, and you're building trust with them, so they're spending time with you. They know they can spend and pay attention to your work, to your meetings, all of that stuff. And it's worth branding yourself. I know there's a lot of preachers out there saying you don't need a website, you don't need any of that stuff, you don't need content. But it's in my opinion, it's going to make your life harder. Those people that are killing it with no website, they'd be killing it even more if they had a website. That's just my opinion. But if you're not in the free Facebook group, go check it out. You might be watching it in the free Facebook group. I'm going to be launching my recruiting playbook over the weekend, exactly what you need to do in sales and in marketing to make sure that you're getting these good clients. And also, I'm launching the software that's going to be built for you. It's going to have all my templates. I'm going to have content in there that you can white label, white papers, videos, and also just some marketing tools as well, and the split board. It's all going to be packaged into one place. And the first 50 users are going to get a huge price break. I'm really excited about it. So go join that free Facebook group to stay updated. Otherwise, good luck building.